What if I told you that a 16th century French nobleman discovered the secret to becoming completely immune to other people's opinions? Not through arrogance or delusion, but through something far more powerful. In 1580, this man did something that had never been done before. He published a book entirely about himself, not his achievements, not his wealth, but his flaws, his contradictions, and his most embarrassing thoughts. And here's what's strange. Instead of being ridiculed, he became one of history's most influential philosophers. Why? Because he accidentally discovered something that modern psychology is only now proving. Radical self-acceptance is the key to genuine confidence. But what Montaigne learned goes against everything our culture teaches about success and happiness. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your biggest weakness might actually be your greatest strength. But first, let me show you how this discovery almost didn't happen at all. Actually, Montaigne wasn't trying to become a philosopher. He was a wealthy man dealing with a midlife crisis, living through religious wars, and watching his best friend die young. Rewind just 5 seconds and let those words settle. They weren't meant to be heard once. Here's what makes Montaigne different from every other self-help guru you've ever heard. He didn't promise to fix you. Instead, he made a radical claim. You don't need fixing. Yeah, that's what he said. But wait, there's something even more surprising about his approach. While everyone else was writing about God, politics, or abstract theories, Montaigne chose to study the most difficult subject of all. And what he discovered changed the understanding of human nature. Think about your social media feed right now. Perfect bodies, perfect vacations, perfect lives. You know it's curated, but you still feel inadequate, right? Montaigne predicted this 400 years ago. He knew that comparison would destroy us. But his solution wasn't what you'd expect. Instead of trying to compete, he did something so counterintuitive that it sounds insane. And I'll show you exactly what that was in just a moment. But first, let me tell you about the experiment that proved his theory right. Imagine writing down your most embarrassing thoughts, your petty jealousies, your physical flaws, and then publishing them for the world to read. That's exactly what Montaigne did. And here's the twist. Instead of being destroyed by vulnerability, he became invincible. Others form man, I tell of him, and portray a particular one, very ill-formed. But why did this work? Why did admitting his flaws make him stronger? The answer lies in a psychological principle that most people get completely backwards. I'm going to share this principle with you in a moment, but first you need to understand the 3 lies that keep most people trapped in endless self-improvement cycles. Stick with me, because the 3rd lie is the one that's probably controlling your life right now. These 3 lies prevent most people from ever finding genuine confidence. Lie number 1, you should be consistent. Montaigne noticed something disturbing about himself. He was completely inconsistent. Generous one day, selfish the next. Brave in some situations, cowardly in others. Instead of trying to fix this flaw, he did something radical that modern psychology now proves was genius. His discovery changes how you see your own contradictions forever. We are all patchwork, and so shapeless and diverse in composition that each bit, each moment, plays its own game. You're not broken because you act differently in different situations. You're human. The pressure to be authentic in every moment is actually inauthentic to human nature. But here's what's really interesting, and this connects to lie number 2. Lie number 2, you should have all the answers. Montaigne's motto was, "What do I know?" But this wasn't false modesty, it was intellectual warfare. While everyone else was pretending to be experts, Montaigne was demolishing the very idea of expertise. The plague of man is boasting of his knowledge. He realized that admitting ignorance was actually a superpower. But why? The answer has to do with how our brains process certainty versus uncertainty, And what he discovered about this will blow your mind. But first, the third lie, and this one is particularly dangerous because it feels so virtuous. Lie number 3, you should fix your flaws. Montaigne wrote openly about his kidney stones, his poor memory, his tendency toward melancholy. He didn't celebrate these problems, but he didn't hide them either. And here's what's counterintuitive. By accepting his flaws instead of fighting them, he became more capable, not less. There is no more beautiful life than that of a man who is at ease with himself. The goal isn't to eliminate your weaknesses. It's to understand how they shape your experience and work with them skillfully. But now you're probably wondering, if we don't fix our flaws, improve our consistency, or seek more knowledge, what do we do instead? This is where Montaigne's real genius becomes clear. He discovered 4 practices that transform weakness into strength. And the first one is so simple, most people miss it entirely. Remember, Montaigne wasn't just theorizing. He was living through religious wars, political chaos, and personal loss. These practices were tested under the worst possible conditions. Practice number 1, master the art of solitude. Stop. Right now, when was the last time you were completely alone with your thoughts? No phone, no music, no distractions? Most people can't remember because we're terrified of what we might find in the silence. But Montaigne discovered that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. We must reserve a back shop all our own, entirely free, in which to establish our real liberty and our principal retreat in solitude. This back shop of the mind is where you process experiences, examine your motives, and connect with your deeper values. Without it, you're just reacting to life instead of living it. But here's the part that will surprise you about solitude. Montaigne realized that the person you are when alone is actually more real than the person you perform for others. And learning to be comfortable with that person is the key to unshakable confidence. Practice number 2, question everything, including this video. Here's something weird. Montaigne would want you to question everything I'm telling you right now, including his ideas. But why would intellectual humility make you stronger? The answer has to do with a cognitive bias that keeps most people trapped in defensive thinking. When you stop needing to be right about everything, you can be curious about everything. When you admit the limits of your knowledge, you become open to learning and growth. But there's a specific technique Montaigne used to question his beliefs that most people have never heard of. He would deliberately seek out opposing viewpoints, not to win arguments, but to understand his own thinking better. This practice made him immune to ideological capture. Practice number 3, embrace your mortality. Let's talk about something no one wants to discuss. You're going to die, I'm going to die, everyone watching this video is going to die. But instead of making Montaigne morbid, this realization made him more alive. How? He who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. When you truly accept that your time is limited, it becomes easier to prioritize what matters. You stop wasting energy on trivial concerns and start making choices that align with your values. But here's the paradox. Thinking about death actually makes you more present to life. And there's a specific exercise Montaigne used that I'll share with you in a moment. Practice number 4, choose your influences carefully. Montaigne lost his best friend, Etienne de la Boétie, when they were both young. Instead of letting grief destroy him, he wrote one of the most beautiful essays on friendship ever created. But here's what's not obvious. He was incredibly selective about who he let into his inner circle after that loss. In the friendship I speak of, our souls mingle and blend with each other so completely that they efface the seam that joined them. True friendship doesn't just provide companionship. It helps you become more yourself. Good friends see you clearly, accept you as you are, and encourage you to grow. But there's a specific criteria Montaigne used to evaluate relationships that most people never consider. Now here's where the story gets interesting. You might expect that all this self-acceptance would make Montaigne passive or complacent, but the opposite happened. By accepting himself as he was, he became more capable of growth, not less. But why? When you're not constantly fighting yourself, you have more energy for everything else. Self-acceptance doesn't make you stagnant. It provides a stable foundation for authentic development. But there's something even more powerful that happens when you master these practices. You become what Montaigne called untouchable, not because you're better than others, but because you know who you are and are comfortable with that knowledge. Think about our current moment. Social media metrics, cancel culture, political polarization, and constant comparison. Montaigne saw all of this coming, but his solution wasn't to retreat from the world. It was to engage with it from a place of internal stability. And there's a specific way he did this that works even better today. When you're not dependent on external validation, you can participate in public life without being destroyed by it. You can have opinions without being defined by them. I want to show you exactly how this works in practice. Here's where most people will close this video, because what I'm about to suggest requires something our culture has trained us to avoid: patience with yourself. Montaigne's wisdom isn't about quick fixes or life hacks. It's about beginning a lifelong practice of self-examination and acceptance. But why is this so hard for us? We've been conditioned to believe that transformation should be fast and dramatic. But real change is slow, subtle, and sustainable. Here are the specific practices that will begin this transformation. Daily self-reflection. Spend 5 minutes each day noting your thoughts and reactions without judgment. What patterns do you notice? What assumptions are you making? Question your certainties. When you find yourself absolutely sure about something, ask, what do I actually know? What evidence do you have? What might you be missing? Embrace your contradictions. Notice when you act differently in different situations. Instead of judging this as inconsistency, see it as human complexity. Practice solitude. Create regular time for being alone with your thoughts. Not meditation, not productivity, just quiet time to process your experiences. But here's what I want to know. Which of these practices feels most challenging to you? Let me know in the comments, because your answer reveals something important about your personality type. Now let's get to the heart of what Montaigne really discovered. It's not just about self-acceptance. It's about the nature of human identity itself. He realized that the self we're trying to accept is constantly changing. So what does it mean to accept something that's never the same twice? We are all patchwork and so shapeless and diverse in composition that each bit, each moment plays its own game. This is why most self-help fails. It assumes you have a fixed self that can be improved. But Montaigne understood that identity is fluid, contextual, and constantly evolving. And this insight leads to something profound about how we should approach personal growth. Instead of trying to become someone else, the goal is to become more skillful at being yourself, whatever that means in any given moment. I want to be honest with you about something. Making this video was difficult because Montaigne's ideas challenge everything about how we're supposed to present ourselves online. He would probably find YouTube's whole ecosystem absurd. People pretending to have figured out life, packaging wisdom into neat little formulas, competing for attention. But that's exactly why his message is so needed right now. In a world that profits from our insecurities, self-acceptance is a radical act. And here's the most important thing I want you to understand. Montaigne spent his life studying the most difficult subject of all, himself. His reward wasn't perfection. It was peace, not certainty, but comfort with uncertainty. I am myself the matter of my book. What story will your life tell? Let me know in the comments what resonated most with you, and if you want more deep dives into philosophers who can help us navigate modern life, subscribe and hit the notification bell.